You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell.
Thank you, Anthony Handy, for that wonderful introduction. As always, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all staying safe. I hope you all are staying warm. Hope you all had a great weekend. This is episode 432 of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. In this episode, we're talking about the Baltimore Ravens, lost to the Buffalo Bills in the division round of the playoffs. But as always, this introduction. We will talk about the Washington Commanders tomorrow. So be tuned in for that. Episode 433. Episode 434 will also be the Maryland women's basketball team. I'm working on two pieces. I'm working on those this evening. One's going to be on TeamNBSMedia's website, and one will be on mdsportsblog.com. The first piece I'm working on is for the Baltimore Ravens. Another one's an opinion piece on the Maryland women's basketball team, because the last couple of days, this outside chatter regarding the team, I'm not liking that, and it's kind of getting on my nerves is not what I want to say, but when a team faces adversity, I think people who are on the outside are looking in, I think, create these random narratives and think a team doesn't have a chance. And I think that's disingenuous. That's just my opinion. No, that's no shade to anybody, but I just feel like I need to come to the team's defense and say something. So that there will be an opinion piece sometime on Maryland Sports Blog before the game against Ohio State, which is actually Friday. That piece will be out tomorrow, so be tuned in for that. And then there'll be other content down the road, so we definitely tune in for that. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe for all future content of the podcast. Appreciate the support that I'm getting on this channel. We've been making cosmetic changes on here, so again, thank you. It means a lot, but let's just get into it. So, as you already know, the Buffalo Bills beat the Baltimore Ravens 25-22.
What was that? What the hell was that? I'm sorry the H words and the D words aren't appropriate over the airways, but it's going to be today. I don't know how much more of this I can take. How in God's name?
I don't know what else I don't know what to really say. Honestly, and just start by saying, and just another disappointing loss. Those three turnovers were key, and I thought really the first drive of the game where we scored on that Bateman touchdown, that gave me confidence. And then after that, I don't know. Buffalo didn't do anything. I'll start on Buffalo's side. They got the job done. They did. I think in terms of especially Josh Allen managing the game, he didn't do anything explosive. They did tip what the defense gave them. Um, Josh Allen was what 16 and 22, 127 yards. James Cook only 67 yards on the ground. He did run it in for two times, but I mean he was just being a game manager. Most of then that's what you want your quarterback to do, being mistake free. But the real thing to me was their defense. I mean, Derrick Henry in that first half, I mean, he got stuffed. I mean, sure. I mean, he had, the 84 yards and the touchdown, but I mean, that first half, you kind of, it should have been more than just 84 yards. It's been nice to know what that had been. And they had, their guys back, Milano, Cup, and those guys. When you have a healthy squad, that matters. Last time we saw them, they didn't have them, and that matters. I knew really the game was over after the first turnover, which was the interception, especially when that throw was clearly miscommunication because he should have kept his eyes on the safety. To allow a touchdown on an opening drive, you settle down as a defense, and then to me, you allow him on your next possession to force a fumble that was a bad snap on Lindenbaum, which Lamar should have just gone down. And then Von Miller picks it up and runs it for 39 yards. And then Josh Allen runs it for 4 plays later. Can't defend that. Then you question the possession where we didn't even run it. The first time we ran with Derrick Henry, he gets stuffed. Then there's a couple of then the 2 next plays are all passes. And we should have just ran it 3 straight times. We ended up kicking a field goal, but I really, really did not like at times our play calling. I thought it was very suspect. I thought Buffalo really, really kind of they just came out and they were ready for us. I thought, especially trusting their run game, they did all the right things. Baltimore being the number one defense against the run, they ran it for 147 yards against our defense, 3 touchdowns. That's the most we've allowed in the game this season. I can't defend that. And they were very physical. Ray Davis, Josh Allen, like we really didn't win the trenches. And also, too, we were mistake-free. Outside of those 3 turnovers, let's not forget that bogus penalty call on Tre'Davious White. I don't agree with it, but when you're mistake-free, more than likely you're going to win the game. That's just the reality of what happened Sunday, this past weekend. I don't like it, but it is what it is. They were the most disciplined team. The holding call on Deion Dawkins, I will say that was a phantom foul. Compared to Baltimore, where they had 5, because we had the second most penalties this season. We finished with 5, but it doesn't mean anything. I mean, the second half we played a little bit better, but it doesn't change anything. Those three drives, could we have given Derrick Henry the ball more? Who knows? But when you have those 3 turnovers, that's going to hurt you every time. I mean, we outgained Buffalo by 100 yards. It was like 416, 273. I mean, we moved the ball more effectively, but we just gave the ball away at the wrong time. And again, that has been our Achilles. And really, the only true turnover was the Mark Andrews fumble. That was it. Outside of the other two, they were just dumb mistakes. I'm talking about the interception and then the Lamar fumble, because that's the exact same play where, if you remember, it's against Cincinnati and we played them in overtime, where it was the same type of snap. He picks the ball up and he throws it to Isaiah Likely for a touchdown. It's kind of in that same kind of situation. But I just feel like even in the second half, even though we played a little bit more controlled and we looked a little bit better, it just wasn't enough. And I hate to transition into this next point, but I got it. Number 89, that's my guy. Listen, Mark Andrews has been the glue for this team the last 7 years. He has got us through. He has done a lot for this team. We are not the Baltimore Ravens without him. That's a fact. You have to understand. I understand. You gotta make that catch. I get it. I can give you two situations, the exact same play. Context. It's maybe 3 years ago. It's on my birthday. We're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road. Lamar drives us down the field. Same kind of scenario where we could tie the game, but we decided to go for it to win it. Same route. Mark Andrews runs. TJ Watt's coming at Lamar. Lamar kind of overthrows it. It's in Mark's hands, drops it. Next game situation. Indianapolis Colts at home. 2-point conversion to tie it. Exact same play. He's been clutch. I know what Mark Andrews is capable of. Mistakes happen. Mistakes are part of the game. But that does not give us the right to just turn around and send death threats, and to the point where his girlfriend has to turn off the comments on social media. Understand something. Athletes are human. It's okay. And also, you have to also understand the season he's had. Coming off an ankle injury from a hip drop tackle last year, okay, then coming into this season where the first few weeks of the season, everyone's questioning, well, how come he's not targeted? And then everyone's saying, well, Isaiah Likely's our number one tight end. Then there was the car accident where, thank God he wasn't hurt, going to practice. Now then being the franchise leader in touchdowns, surpassing Todd Heap, and then leading tight ends in touchdowns this year in the NFL. So the value that he has for this team, I can't take that away. Listen, wrong mistakes, that's going to haunt fans, players for some time. But I haven't seen anything like this. I go back to Lee Evans back in 2011. Hell, I'll go back as far as when TJ Houshmandzadeh played for us. There's other situations I could go to, but that one play, does not defy the game for us. Okay, and even if he did catch it, there was 1 minute and 30 seconds on the clock. I don't know what the Buffalo Bills would have done with it. Well, if they had gone down and scored and tried to get in the field goal range, they probably would have won. We probably wouldn't win the overtime. Don't know. But what we do know is that Mark Andrews missed the go-ahead catch to tie the goal in overtime. Don't know, but it is what it is. And I appreciate Lamar and the rest of the team coming to his defense and consoling him, all that. My issue is that, unfortunately, he was going to be criticized this week. He's going to get some of the blame. Everyone's was talking about. I saw some people on TV, creating Venn diagrams and how much a percentage this person gets of blame, how much this person gets of a blame, all that stuff. Collectively, if you look, everybody gets some of the blame, and I'll get to that in a little bit. My next point, the goal line possessions. As much as I respect Todd Monken as an offensive coordinator, this is another weakness I have of Mr. Monken. Let me just break it down to you. So, if you have Derrick Henry, right, common sense would tell you give him the ball, but obviously didn't. He didn't get in the end zone, and again, if I guess in Todd's mind, well, that didn't work, so let me go to something else. So it's first down. He got hammered for 1 yard loss. Okay, cool. So on second down, because we're tied at 14, if I remember correctly. Because it's a 42-yard gain, and we're at their 2-yard line, because there's a 42-yard gain catch by Rashard Bateman. Second down. Dropping back to pass. Play breaks down. Sack. Another pass. Third down. Lamar scrambles out the pocket. Throws it to Derrick. Incomplete. Like, your red zone offense just looked like what are we doing? And then you had to bring Justin Tucker out there for a 26-yard field goal. And again, selling for the 3 points, that was cool. But I mean, you're at the 2-yard line. Why not feed him again? You've got guys. You got Mark Andrews. The tush push. Do something. Be creative. And I get it. I mean, the yards were tough in the first half, and their front four did a good job keeping him in check. But Baltimore's got some size. Patrick Ricard, Charlie Kohler. I mean, come on now. Like, you got to be creative in your offense. But again, if you stuff them on first, like, to me, if I see he gets stuffed, okay, we're going to do it again. Second down. Okay, third. Even if I'm going for it on fourth down, I'm going to do it again. Because what are the chances, especially if I got Patrick Ricard and Derrick Henry back there, and even Isaiah Likely, there's no way two out of those four downs, we're not even getting in the end zone. By second or third down, we should have already been in the end zone by now. That's my point on terms of the goal line offense. I just thought we could have been better with that. I think he should have had a couple more opportunities, but it is what it is. In terms of the reality is, when it mattered, Lamar had those 2 turnovers. Was it ugly turnovers? Yes. But in the second half, he played more controlled. He drove us down the field, and we were right there. It's not like he played 60 minutes crappy. I think what bothers me is I think people, I don't know where this notion's coming from that we are saying he didn't have a bad game. We acknowledge he had 2 turnovers. That's a bet that can't happen. but we can't ignore the turnaround he had in the second half. I mean, you can have a bad half, but turn it around in the second half. But the fumble by Mark Andrews, that's not on Lamar. The defensive pass interference call, that was on Lamar. Like little things like that. But I mean, for me, we have to be, I think for us as a team, I can't sit here also. I can't call for John Harbaugh's job. Last 5 weeks, they were peaking at the right time. I know last year and years before we've talked about maybe it's time for a new voice and maybe it's time for this. If you think those 3 turnovers are a reason John Harbaugh should be fired, that's not an argument. It's one thing if you said, well, the last 5 years, you haven't gotten it, something's not clicking here. You need to compel a better argument. We've seen success. It's the guys got us. They got us. It's something's not clicking, and for me, like I don't even think firing John Harbaugh really fixes the problem, because to me, like last year, AFC Championship game, Zay Flowers fumble. Now Mark Andrews fumble, like minus the 2 turnovers by Lamar. It's something. It just something just doesn't. Something's not clicking, and like we're gonna go into an off season where I expect it to be a little different. There's going to be some changes. I don't expect. I mean, this roster in terms of turnover compared to last year, the length of the roster free agents is not that terrible. The biggest one's Ronnie Stanley and Patrick Ricard. Ronnie Stanley took a pay cut, and oh, by the way, those, and they know who they are, were saying, well, if we cut Ronnie Stanley, he takes a pay cut, he takes a gambles on himself. The man played actually well. So I'm hoping that both sides can come to an agreement. Because I'd like Ronnie Stanley to be a Raven for life. Patrick Ricard, how many teams in the NFL do you know still value the fullback position other than the San Francisco 49ers? Brandon Stevens, I don't expect him to be back here next year. That has been something to forget, because he's been the second most targeted corner. I do think we need some safety help. We definitely need to address pass rush, because again, this year we were what, 7,000, over 7,000 total yards as an offense. That's going to be hard to replicate that. Kyle Van Noy had double-digit sacks. And especially asking a guy of his age and others, can you replicate that success next year? Because next year, guys are older, a year older. We have to be realistic about that. I think the other corner, Jair Alexander would be a good fit. I know Marlon Humphrey potentially, he played in the nickel. He could potentially be, I know at some point, play safety. That'd be something to see. Marcus Williams, he restructured his contract. They talked about today in the exit interviews. I was disappointed to hear with why I didn't work with Eddie Jackson. I'm disappointed that, sometimes, if we have an expectation of a role for you, you kind of need to make the adjustment, and you refuse. That's a problem. I understand, Eddie Jackson's a 2-time Pro Bowler, but he it's not like you were going to be like that the whole season. I think maybe this just wasn't a team for him. But I don't know. I'm just maybe because we had him in is as a special teamers and a backup safety. He didn't want that. He wanted to be a full-time starter, and that simply just wasn't happening. Marcus Williams, God bless him, just injuries. And again, when he was in with the Saints, he was great. He was the first year here, he was playing well. Then the injuries. Unfortunately, we're talking about that with Sean Spencer last week with Marshawn Lattimore. Injuries have been something to watch. One would argue, what would he look like fully healthy? And then the offensive line. I really think the Ben Cleveland experiment is a wrap. I'm disappointed he didn't really get any opportunities to really show what he could do. I still think there was something there that we really will never know why he didn't get an opportunity to really be a starter. A couple times they had him at center, but the positive is that we will get 11 draft picks because I know we get 5 compensatory draft picks coming in this upcoming draft because of the free agencies. Obviously, Patrick Queen, Geno Stone, a couple other players. So that's good. But there are some tough decisions Eric DaCosta will have to make. But he's going to make some good decisions for the team, and I'm confident he'll make the right decisions. But I'm confident where this team will be. Is the window closed? No. Is it closing? Yes. But with Lamar Jackson, you're still a threat in the AFC. But here's the thing. Every team in the AFC is going at some point to get better. What is Cincinnati going to look like next year? What is Buffalo going to look like next year? A lot of teams more than likely are going to start retooling. There's always going to be a team in the AFC that's going to be better than us. I wasn't expecting us to really, if I'm being honest, because a lot of people picked Baltimore not to even win the AFC North. Pittsburgh this year was picked to win the AFC North by some people. What are they going to look like next year? I don't expect Cleveland to look like a team next year because their starting quarterback ruptured his Achilles again. And more than likely, they have to figure out that situation. But we have to be realistic. Where we are in our window, I think we can compete, but it's starting to close. It's not closing fast, but it's slowly, because realistically, because at some point, with what I'm seeing, something has to change. Now next year, obviously we're already in kind of the new off season for 2025 NFL season. This is John Harbaugh's last year on his contract. He was given an extension for up until this year, so we don't know what's going to happen after this season upcoming. So we got to be watching out for that. But whatever happens, I think the Ravens will be fine. This was tough. We will be okay. But this one's going to hurt a little bit. I referenced the Patriots loss in 11. That one stung. This one, when you look at just how this team was, when you get compared to the greatest show on turf, and just seeing Lamar in the season he's had, and I think potentially in his third MVP, and you kind of look at how your season just ended the way it did this weekend, that's a disappointment. And but some guys got some reflecting to do, and I feel like next year, I think they have what it takes. I feel like they're motivated, but I feel like there's some guys who won't be here next year, realistically, and that's just part of the business. But one thing guys got to do is got to take a long self look in the mirror. The turnovers, and we got to get out this mental funk, because we beat ourselves. And it was like that during the regular season at times this year too. The first matchup against Cleveland, against the Raiders, you can't have mistakes in the postseason like that. Can't. It's just a reality. So, still going to bleed black and purple, but I love my team. But these last 2 seasons now, this is tough, but it is what it is. So I don't have a one final thought other than we will be getting ready for the NFL draft. So be tuned in for a mock draft at some point. We will be talking with the Washington Commanders tomorrow. So thank you for tuning in to this episode of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments below of the Ravens season. Just what were your overall thoughts? What do you think they should do in the offseason? What do you think their targets should be in terms of positions? Who do you think they should target, whether it's free agency or the draft? And then more importantly, how did you feel about the future? Do you feel like they can win a championship? I personally think they can. It's just they just got to get out they got to get out their own head, because when they get in their own way, it shows. So thank you for tuning in this episode of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Please like, comment, and subscribe for official content, and we will catch you on the flip side. Peace. Stay up.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
And I wanna thank you. All I wanna do is say thank you.